What is it like to live alone? Now for the comments. Love the solitude, but hate the loneliness. There's a fine line between them. For me, living on my own is only sustainable for like 2 to 3 years. I start to fall into depression after that, and begin self-destructing. I love the solitude, not cleaning up after anyone else, not giving a shit about expectations. But in the end, it gets lonely and sad. I'm an extreme introvert, but few people can overcome their human desire for companionship, be it a roommate or lover. We're meant to live in tribes, not solitude. My last bout of living on my own ended in alcoholism, a bad drug habit, and unenjoyable, loneliness-fueled promiscuity. For me, I think they are almost the same thing sometimes, and it's actually difficult to recognize that what I'm missing is human contact, because at the same time I'm enjoying solitude. It's become more evident since COVID, but I can be feeling a little down, but at the same time, look around and go, but everything is exactly how I want it. It's tough to process. The price of freedom is often loneliness. You need to make an active effort to have any sort of social life. Also, all your worst habits become amplified, since there's nobody to hold you accountable. Agreed. Having and hanging out with friends is important. COVID has sucked, but I prefer living alone. People piss me off, especially roommates. On the one hand, you can do as you please. On the other hand, everything is your own responsibility, so if anything's going to get done, it's all up to you. And on the gripping hand, when you're personally in need, like loneliness or medical emergency, you're on your own. These dishes aren't going to do themselves, just like your crippling depression isn't going to just go away on its own. Edit. Wow. Thanks for the awards. I got an F brand Roomba 7/10 on effectiveness and the efficiency by which it goes about it, but 10/10 having everything not be my chore. All you gotta do is clean up after yourself as soon as you're done. That way, if you clean your whole living space once a week or every 2 weeks, it won't take long and your crib will always be generally clean. Oh my god, a gripping hand reference. One of my biggest fears is dying in some stupid way because I'm alone, like choking to death on my dinner, or slipping in the shower and hitting my head, or something along those lines. Just dropped by to thank you for the moat reference. I live alone and woke up with chronic stomach pain earlier in the year and thought I might die, and my cat would eat my corpse for a red hot minute there. Had to crawl to my neighbor's house to get help. Turns out cats, however wonderful, are no good in a medical emergency. I live with 3 other people, and I'm still on my own. Simply the best. No checking in with someone, no explanations required. If you just want to walk out the door and do something, the freedom is just unmatched. You don't know how annoying it is / was to bounce your intentions off of another person until you don't have to do it anymore. Not to mention there are none of the million little compromises and accommodations you make just having a roommate. Living alone, you can watch whatever TV show, movie or video game when you want. Pause it for half an hour to make whatever you want for dinner, and then do whatever you want with the dishes afterwards. The bathroom is set how you like, the seat is where you left it, and you're free to leave the door open so the cat can visit. You don't have to schedule a time to take a shower, it's always your shower time whenever you get up. The thermostat is set wherever you want it, you get as many blankets as you want, and your snore is free to roam wild and unfettered. Every nork and zzzzzzzzzrk and tiak allowing you to sleep deep and sound without nudge, elbow, or poke interrupting your slumber. No checking in with someone, no explanations required. If you just want to walk out the door and do something, the freedom is just unmatched. I've gotten so used to just getting up and going when I decide to do something that when a couple of friends stayed with me for several months while their condo was being renovated, I just got up and walked out one day. One of my friends asked the other, did we do something to upset Jim? He just got up and walked out without saying goodbye. I love living alone. First time after living with a shitty family and a string of roommates to afford Bay Area rent. Now I'm in a committed relationship, and the next step is living together. I think we are ready for it, but am I ready to not live alone anymore? I imagine once having known the freedom of living alone, that it would be near impossible to manage alongside someone ever again. Simply the best. Better than all the rest. My roommate occasionally comes to my room and announces that she leaves to go wherever, and I'm always sitting there in amazement. Cause when I want to go somewhere I just go. It's not anyone's business what I'm doing, so I don't have to announce it. Then again, my parents were the type that used a GPS tracking app on my phone, while hers were more in the opposite direction, so that might play a role there. Tidy introvert from a family of loud people here. I thought I would get lonely at some point after getting my own place. I was sure it would happen during the pandemic. In close to a decade, including during the pandemic, it has never happened. If anything, my appreciation for living alone has grown. I see my friends bitching about being trapped in their houses with roommates, kids, family members who refuse to wear masks, and I'm grateful. I have worked 2 jobs for 15 years to afford a mortgage on my own, and I don't regret a thing. Seconding how awesome it is. It was pretty much the same when I lived with my brother for a year or so, at least until I got a girlfriend. We are married now, but before that we mostly just did our own thing. Sometimes we'd hang out. Depends who your roommate is. I never explained shit to him and vice versa, but then when we were around and available we were like best friends. Then I lived alone after that, and I still didn't have to explain anything, but I missed all those fun nights we have hanging out. If you don't have a good fitted roommate though, it's not that great. The check-in is real. In college, for my first apartment, I moved in with a bunch of my friends that I met in my freshman year. I figured they understood me and they'd know what to expect. Wrong. I met a guy that lived nearby and started spending a lot of time at his place, and often if I was out drinking on the other side of town, I'd just sleep on the couch of whoever was closest or whoever I went out with. My roommates apparently got really upset about that. Not because they were worried about me or because I wasn't upholding duties, but just because they felt like me living with them meant I should live with them, and being away a lot did not constitute living with them in their opinion. I never expected that would be an issue with roommates, because I like my space, so even when I love my roommate, I'm always excited to have a place to myself. You will start talking to yourself. I don't know why, but you do. Yesterday I realized I was speaking aloud everything I was thinking of doing. Oops. Cleaning is easy. You clean before work and come back to a clean house unless Mr. Kitty knocked down 3 cups and now you have glass to pick up. Oh well. Cooking is tough. You either make too much or you just stop by and get food because it's easier. I don't like leftovers a lot, so it's like why bother cooking after a long day of work? Salads and sandwiches becomes the go-to good because it's quick. This is just me, but I leave the TV on. I can be reading, playing a PC game, going to sleep etc, but the TV is on. Note, I put my timer on when I go to sleep, so I don't leave TV on all night. I come from a family of 7, so I'm used to noise. Quiet freaks me out. Even when I have a headache or a migraine, I must have noise. When you are sick, being alone sucks. If you throw up, you must clean it up. If you are too sick to even get up, you can get dehydrated. You force yourself to get up and get water and make soup because you know you must keep hydrated even if you're shaking and your legs are near collapsing. You must take your temperature and take aspirin and take care of animals. Breaking your leg or arm sucks too. You have nobody to help you. You can bring anybody to your place without worries or needing to ask permission. A big plus. You only have you to help pay bills. You can't afford to get a pay cut, getting fired, taking medical time off. Getting sick after all your sick days are used means you can't afford to take time off unless your boss orders you to go home. The bathrooms are all yours. No waking up early to get there first. No standing outside dancing and begging them to hurry up. You can use the restroom whenever you want. It's amazing. No having a roommate bring a man over and have loud sex while you are trying to sleep. Temperature control is all you. You can keep your house or apartment at the temperature you like, as long as you can afford it. No judging. You want to watch a marathon of your favorite TV show all day while eating pizza, cake, and soda, you can. This is dangerous. You will get lonely if you are used to having people live with you. You can completely become unsocial. Such a good list. I hope your post moves up in the thread so more people read it. Thoughtful and lucid and encompasses lots of aspects well. Your whole list resonates with me other than the TV. That's what I love about being alone. I don't have to hear the TV on all the time now. I also turn off lights when I leave a room. I talk to myself a lot now. So much that I do it in public. I have to be careful. I had surgery with a 6-week recovery in 2018. It was difficult, to say the least. I miss my late husband the most at times like that. About numbers 1 and 5. I live in a townhome with roommates, but we didn't know each other beforehand. So we each take care of our own things, and I'm the only one that cooks for myself. Last weekend my boyfriend and I broke up. So I was suddenly alone and that, if I get sick, I have no one I can lean on. And I was feeling very sick. So I was super stressed about having to cook a lot before I got even more sick. So I would have something to eat if I couldn't function. It was very sobering. Also, on a lighter note, I've started talking to myself a lot. It's nice honestly. It helps me process. I just hope I don't get in the habit so much that I do it around my roommates or in public. Edit. Even though I have roommates and lots of friends, I still have been lonely since the breakup because my roommates and I don't see each other much. We still get along really well, and my friends and I can't hang out in person. So while the whole experience is still very liberating, I'm lonely, even though I'm not alone, and want to be single. Something to consider. This is such a good list. I recently moved out alone and all of this is so true. Minus the leftover thing. I love cooking and having leftovers to eat, so I don't have to cook the next couple days. Number 3. I love to cook and have lived alone for the better part of the last 4 to 5 years. Your freezer is your best friend. Cook your favorites in batches, portion them out, then freeze. Anything you like, you can likely freeze. It's so nice to have a few extra meals in the freezer at any given time. I broke my hand and was out of work for 3 months. I still got paid, but it was only like 60% of my pay or something like that. I blew through all of my savings during that time. The house stayed a mess because it's hard to clean with one hand, especially dishes. I also drive a standard, so when it came time to run errands it was a huge pain in the ass. I've lived alone for 2 years now and that's been the only time that I've hated it so far. I actually don't clean as often when I live alone because there's no one judging me or my apartment, and there's no way I'm going to wake up at 6 AM to clean before going to work. If I want a clean apartment, I'll clean up after work or before going to bed, and if you have a pet or multiple, then you're not actually living alone. Cooking is easy, even when you make more than you can eat at once. Just make something that you can reheat later or something you can cook more with eggs. Risotto plus eggs equals delicious. Everything else is spot on. Don't watch TV, but I do watch Netflix, and I usually listen to some playlists on YouTube. Leave the door open in bathroom when you are in. Big plus. Getting sick is the worst. I keep a stock of canned soups, so I have access to an easy meal. But having no one around to bring you a cup of tea or an extra blanket or just to ask you how you're doing can be a real downer. There's a price for everything and that's a big one for solitude. But the total freedom is so worth it. All the stuff remains where stuff is supposed to be. You put a Coke in the fridge and it's still there. The sink never gets clogged with hair. The room temperature is always 18°C. If you don't feel like cooking food you don't have to. It's wonderful. The sink never gets clogged with hair. Sad long hair living alone noises. I love that all my stuff is where I left it. If I leave my shoes somewhere, there they are. My mittens are exactly where I put them. My charger is where it's supposed to be. I grew up with 3 siblings, mom who was obsessed with cleaning, and dad who borrowed my stuff, but never returned anything. I could never find my mittens. Or socks. I purposely bought pink socks with hearts and my brothers would always borrow them. I cannot stress enough how annoying that was. I spent huge amounts of money on socks because of them. They took my hats, my mittens, my socks, my backpacks. So frustrating. And before someone asks, I'm 180 centimeters tall, so my mittens etc were usually men's size. In the end I started storing them in my room, but they still stole my socks. My dad kept borrowing my chargers and leaving them to places like my grandpa's house or at our summer cottage. If I ever even thought about leaving a hairpin anywhere, my mom would run it to the bathroom to its correct place. I absolutely love living alone. I finally feel like I have a space where I can exist, and I've lived alone for years. Well, I do have a dog, but still, I don't miss having all that family around. Haha. I feel like my boyfriend would be jealous. I've got 25 inches worth of hair and our cat is a long-haired Siberian. We basically live in a 600 SQFT hair snow globe. Thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell for more videos. Also like the video if you enjoyed.